Welcome back to Istanbul for day 2 of the International Skating Union's Junior Grand Prix Series. This incredible city, the 15th largest city in the world, is home to some of the best junior figure skaters in the world. And today we start with the rhythm dance. I'm Mark Henretti, and I'll be joined remotely by the wonderful Ted Barton from his home studio in Vancouver. Now, the 1980s rhythm dance here has a fairly open field. We saw some runaway winners in the first 2 Junior Grand Prix assignments, so it's an exciting competition coming up with 16 teams from 12 different skating nations taking to the ice. And there we see some shots of this beautiful, exciting city, and an opportunity for skaters to really relish the chance to represent their nation in such an amazing location. Excited to be joined by you, Ted. Oh, always a relief to hear that you are there.
Yeah, exactly. Not knowing as we take a beautiful look of the city of Istanbul. Boy, I'm jealous that you're there. I know you don't get much time to see the city, but wow, spectacular sights, no question.
Yeah, it really is. And as we take the look now at the judges and the officials, the journey from the official hotels to the ice rink shows us some of the amazing cultural and historic sites. So really fantastic scenes there. The technical panel as well. And we see Galiche, former world medalist, as a tech spec here. So the skating dynasty continues.
Now you're ready for some 1980s. We'll see how this group of teams present that era, of course. It's been interesting so far. What are your thoughts on the theme of the 80s so far?
Well, it's been something that's a great talking point, not just the 1980s, but also some of the changes that the Ice Dance Technical Committee have made, the chance for skaters to play with the rocker foxtrot, a dance that has been known by ice dancers for almost 100 years, and this year the men skating the women's steps, women skating the men's steps. And it was interesting to chat to some of the coaches, just to hear their opinions, and great to hear that some who maybe were initially a little skeptical are embracing the changes. So that's fun to hear, great to hear, and great to see. And interesting to see now some new faces on the Junior Grand Prix series this year, so see what music choices will be indulged with this year as well.
Now you're going to be cutting the replays, which is awesome.
Yes.
It's on your 3 fingers there. So you're going to get out of the program what you would like to talk about, no question. But let's just mention for those viewers who may not have tuned in before this about the role reversal in the rocker foxtrot. And of course, you mentioned just a few moments ago about the men doing the women's steps, the women's doing the men's steps, and what the reason was behind that decision and how you've seen that so far. It seems to me, at least, that when they reverse that role, that it's a little bit more difficult for the men to do the women's steps. That's just what I've seen so far. What are your thoughts?
Well, and it has been a huge talking point because the foxtrot hold, the dance hold that's used that you see now, the conventional dance hold, has been used in ice dance for seemingly eons. It's used on the ballroom floor as well. And that particular hold, the conventional foxtrot hold, when the man is on the left-hand side of the lady, and he really uses his back arm, his right arm, to help facilitate some of the steps. And that's something that ice dancers around the world are so used to and comfortable within. Seeing now the flip of that and the reverse of that, it's been interesting to see how couples have had to adapt to that. Now, given the key points, as we see this couple working through their sequential twizzles, the key points, which are so valuable for the score, we've become increasingly aware of how the hold with the arms can help facilitate those turns being done cleanly. And so it's been a challenge, perhaps, for some of the skaters. Here we see, again, that conventional foxtrot hold at the start of the rocker foxtrot for the Polish team. This is titled as rocker foxtrot 1. Rocker foxtrot 2 would be where the team are on the opposite side and the man skates the women's steps. And as I've noted in the first 2 Grand Prix assignments, the key points are, as a generalization, more called, more achieved on the conventional first rocker foxtrot than on the second. And that it may just be that that's because people are more used to that hold. It may be that as the season progresses, we'll see them being achieved more readily and more sort of equality between the key points and the sequences.
Now, you were mentioning the first sequence of the rocker foxtrot, the second sequence. Is there a strategy as to which one? Because you can do either one first. The first sequence comes towards the judges. The second sequence starts away from the judges. Is there a strategy or any sort of advantage?
No, there shouldn't be at all. The same base value for the both sequences, I think, you know, what we've seen is so far in the Junior Grand Prix that some couples have started with the second, some couples have started with the first. The only thing that's most commonly seen is that you wouldn't do them directly back to back. You would be more willing to choose some transitional content and create some speed out with the dance itself. So I haven't so far, I think, seen anybody do back-to-back sequences, which is what you would do in the conventional rock and foxtrot.
You know, so is there, from a judging perspective, shouldn't be talking about this, I guess, but you know, is there, if you've got something to hide or something you don't want to have really visible, which sequence would you do first? Is it a little harder for the judges to see when it's right at them, or is it harder for them to see further away? And I don't mean judges, could be technical panel.
I mean, arguably it's easier for the technical panel to see the key points on the first rock and foxtrot, or the steps that are closest to them, than those that are farther away. There's an argument for that, but then equally you can take the flip that let's start with the one that's more tricky when we're fresher physically, so that we can make that one look a bit better than it would if we were to conserve that harder sequence of the rocker later when we're a bit more physically exhausted. But you know, the ultimate goal and the objective for these teams will be to showcase some equality in both sequences of the rocker and to look magnificent throughout.
Okay, well, obviously the other big element in the rhythm dance, the twizzles, and we'll see that as the challenging element has always been a little bit in dance, but certainly the dancers are doing such a good job at that, both in the junior and senior level. Now that's something they've trained just to the highest level. As we get started in group number 1. And final few words of encouragement and instruction, and just to keep their thoughts focused. Our first team comes from France. 13-year-old Louise Dupre and 16-year-old Tahori Pede Dugue. This is their first Junior Grand Prix event. As we've always mentioned about the French teams and skaters, quite unique in choreography. And they're going to skate to Talking About a Revolution and Sunday, Bloody Sunday by U2.
Louise Duprat and Dari Tadej from France. And what a shame. Glad to see the support from Dari to Louise. She will be so frustrated with the fall. And their coach was telling me just how excited they were to be here and so ready to skate. And such a shame to have had a fall. As we've said before, ice dancers don't have tumbles like that as readily, but the twizzles that they were going for were exceptionally difficult.
This is a very young team, obviously 13 years old. This is their first time out, so there's going to be little nerves as well. They look at it like they have some good skills. They don't have the experience. That's what they're gaining here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And a chance now just to look at the rocker foxtrots. It's the second rocker foxtrot. You can see this now. Tahari skating the women's steps and Louise the men's steps there. One of the key points. Nice extension. And then they chose to do a transition separating the two sequences, as I suggested that most would, just to create a bit more speed, flow and glide. And you can see just looking a little bit more comfortable in this more conventional side. And they managed to get key points there. What a shame. But there's no doubting the potential. A team that have done well at the advanced novice stage. They were third at the Bavarian Open earlier this year. And
this is where a lot of the international, it's where the international careers start, right here, and it's always a little rough, perhaps, because they don't have enough experience, and that's what the Junior Grand Prix gives them, of course. And you can see the disappointment on Louise's face there, but they have the free program, free dance to come, obviously, and I'm sure that they'll pick it up and finish the competition with a little confidence. A nice support by partners, so important in a team event that when there's something that goes wrong or one partner has a challenge, that they support each other.
Yeah, and not always the case, but really nice to see the cuddle from their coach, Stanislas Edsall, and good connection between them. And they're still so young, just 13 years old and 16 years of age, so incredibly young potential to be competing for 5 years as juniors.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the scores for the rhythm dance. 41.30. First team out in this event. Do some good work between now and the free dance, gain some confidence, get back out on the ice, and gain some more experience. As we take a look at the next team, 16-year-old Sofia Duval and 20-year-old Victor Kulza from Poland. Third Junior Grand Prix season. They were 23rd last year at the World Junior Championships. Skating to Wake Me Up Before You Go, and Only You.
What a fun rhythm dance for Sofia Debal and Wiktor Kulesza from Poland. And I saw the team not long before they went out. They were just in the corridor, Ted, just before going out. And the camaraderie, the connection, the friendship between both of them and their coach was just so wonderful to see. You know, great athletes, but a really holistic, good approach from coach and students. I was really impressed.
Well, you can see the energy in that program, and they had fun doing it. And you could see that they weren't like worried about the dance. They were welcoming and wanting to do the dance. And that's pretty bright outfits from the 80s, no question. But great job.
Embracing it. And
good energy, good speed.
Yeah, and their coach, Sylvia in the back, Trabaska, was saying that she still enjoys this music, she still enjoys it, and hopefully we'll get to see a clip where she and the next competitors were dancing alongside with them ringside. Great use of this difficult transitional entry into the twizzles. Slightly too far apart, maybe a little lack of synchronicity, so early in the season that will refine. Clear use of the arm feature in the second, and I caught lots of these little transitional pieces, a program interspersed with transitional difficulty, but this, the curve lift, comfortably coming in at level 4. Tech panel just review, and now you can see Coach Sylvia and the next team dancing backstage behind them, and what a wonderful advert of a good choice of music and good entertainers to get, you know, their competitors to be clapping alongside.
Well, Sylvia's had so much experience as a international world competitor, coach, and a technical specialist. So she has so much information, and she's a positive, happy, bubbly person. You can see that in her team as well, and the joy of ice dance.
And actually, Sylvia was telling me about, you know, her former students and knowing them still now, and how she works with Maxim Spodriev, who she previously coached. And that's such a great advert for a coach, that they still have friendship and connection with their students. That's obviously an indication that she provides a really positive environment that the skaters want to be a part of long after their competitive days are over.
Yeah, a lifelong, you know, partnership and friendship. And that is a result of working with the kids as they're growing up and caring about them as people. And they have to be athletes, and you're working with them as a coach, but you really care about them as the people, part of a bigger family. And you know, that's so important for a long-term relationship. And these skaters may end up to be coaches themselves, so they'll understand that aspect and responsibility of coaching. As we take a look at the rhythm dance scores for Sofia and Victor, 50.32. And that will put them currently in first place. 51.03 was their personal best, so they're not far off that. Our next team comes from the Czech Republic, 18-year-old Eliska Zakova, 17-year-old Filip Menzel. It's their first year to Grand Prix season. They placed 8th in Bangkok in week 1. They'll skate to I Love Rock and Roll, Still Loving You, and Living On. Bon Jovi.
Eliska Zakova and Filip Mencho from the Czech Republic, one of the first teams that we've getting to see on their second Junior Grand Prix assignment and showcasing some improvements and progress since 2 weeks ago in Bangkok, for sure.
There's some good energy through that program, and this is their second time out, as you mentioned, Mark. And as this is part of the process of gaining experience, you know, they probably take stock of this and say, well, how did this compare to week one? What are the improvements? Of course, the scores will be related to that as well. That report card is so important because that's where they really can judge their improvement, technically at least.
And again,
what's the most difficult part of dance for you, Mark?
Well, so much of it is built on the foundation of those skating skills, so the depth of the knee, the flow and the glide. That, as we just see, an extra sneaky rotation there from Filip in the twizzles, but it is that, just the basic way in which they stroke. This is a great chance to see as they do the stab-B step sequence non-touch. Good skating skills from this team, and what we'll see is, as we progress, is the amount of glide and length of flow and on each stroke. That is just crucial to an ice dancer's success, and that's hours and hours of relentless basic skating skills. And you can see actually here now they were fatiguing with the Rocker Fox at the second sequence, just the pattern diminishing, the strokes a bit shorter, less glide. That might make the judges just go a little bit lower in the skating skills component score, and that will improve in time. That seems to be a little bit of a conditioning aspect, but who knows, that may be because they didn't have chance to train as much because obviously they've been traveling around the globe competing.
Well, such a good point. Their score for the first competition was 48.30. Let's see if this score comes close to that. If there's been any improvement, it's hard. You can't exactly compare the two competitions. There are different judges. There are different technical panels. Some might be a little bit more strict on some of the aspects, but consistent through that competition. So it's not a direct comparison, but it is at least some sort of an indication.
And hopefully, you know, they've made this great connection with their coach. They can see beyond these scores. They'll have hopefully a long-term seasonal development plan.
The rhythm dance scores 46.90, so that's a little shy of what they earned in week one. And that'll put them currently into second place. So not so far off where they were. Our next team comes from Georgia, 17-year-old Maria Alieva and 20-year-old Yehor Barshak. And they all skate to What Have You Done For Me Lately, Love Will Never Do, and Rhythm Nation by Janet Jackson.
Maria Aliyeva and Yehor Barshak from Georgia. And it's amazing, Ted, knowing that Maria had a hip surgery in November. She started skating again not till April of this year, and they didn't team up till June. So to have achieved what they've just done and look as well matched as they do in such a short space of time is remarkable.
Yeah, it's so amazing that we don't have the background. Well, we do now because we have Inspector Hanratty, but we don't have the background to a lot of these skaters and what they're going through, and not sometimes understanding why they are where they are at this moment in their careers. So, great research on that, Mark, and so important to put in perspective the athlete's performance in relationship to what's happened in their life.
And it does give you that context, both for the successes and the challenges that they face, knowing that they've only been skating together for such a short space of time. But I took that, Ted, because I just thought that's special, that they are
nice.
Connected before they start. And here you just see that left-hand side bracket turn. This, the second sequence of the rocker foxtrot, and you can see they've chosen to use kind of the more conventionals. You can play with the hold a little bit, and it did look a little uncomfortable for the team, but that's largely, I'm sure, because they're so new to one another, never mind doing something that they wouldn't have done before in regards to the hold. And this change of pose, the feature that they've gone for within the rotational lift, technical panel currently looking at that. As I said, Galiche, one of the technical specialists, she's a former world medalist, so expert eyes casting their opinions on the 5 elements for the ice dancers in the rhythm dance. They're joined by Pierre Souquet, the new member of the coaching staff alongside Alexei Kilyukov and Elena Novak. So they come from a great training base and impressive ability to make love hearts between them all.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, so important, that connection, that relationship that the two have, because the skating skills are one thing, and that's obviously, that's physical, but emotionally to support each other and to skate as one, really. And that just simply takes time, and it takes being on the same, the same plane, if you will. They've got to think alike, in regard to their skating at least, and sometimes that relationship just takes time. And when it's there and it's magic, that's when you get those teams that create something extra, something special in their performance. And
developing the respect, because Maria's 17, Yehor is 20, so a little bit older than some of the skaters that we'll see. But youngsters, to develop respect for another human of your same age, when so often you're both wanting you're both wanting to be excellent, you both could be exhausted, you can both be tired, you can both be stressed, and having enough respect between each of you to have a working partnership that's really fruitful is a challenge at times, and they seem to have it.
Well, 49.66 for Maria and Yehor, and that will put them currently into second place. They are the 4th team out in this event. And that's their top scorer so far in this season. As we get introduced to the group number 2 as they take the ice for their 5-minute warm-up.
And
so, Mark, when you dance, this is a question that I had a little earlier, and I sort of threw it at you at the last second, so sorry about that. But
okay.
No, I just want to know, from an ice dancer's perspective, what is the most difficult aspect of that discipline? I don't necessarily mean technically an element, but if somebody came to you and said, Mark, I'm interested in ice dance, but I want to know my challenges. What am I going to face when I get into this discipline? What would you say to them?
I think, so many various different challenges, but the thing that comes to mind at first is the relationship between the two humans, the ability to work with another human, and like I said with the last team on our screens, the respect. And we're dealing with, as we've said in the first day of competition, elite humans, all inevitably very competitive by their very nature. They're athletes that aspire for excellence, and when you put two humans together with that level of energy, so often it becomes a huge challenge to manage that, because I see so often with ice dancers, if the partner makes a mistake, the immediate reaction from the fellow partner is, oh, you made a mistake, what's wrong? I'm trying my hardest here, what was the matter with you? And to get that level of respect I think is a challenge, especially for young humans. And some manage it incredibly well, some manage it with real toxicity, and even some of the most successful names in ice dance, I won't name them necessarily, but we've heard of some incredibly volatile relationships that have gone on to make Olympic gold, that have gone on to World Championship medals. But it's not ultimately what we want. Ideally, you want to have a partnership which can work as harmoniously as possible with as much respect as possible, and that can sometimes be cultivated by the coaching staff, but not always.
I suppose that when you're on the ice, if it is, business, because you're wanting to achieve a goal and your personalities are significantly different off ice, but you clearly understand the difference of that, then you can manage that pretty well. But it sometimes can get sort of crossed over and a little messy. That's pretty cool.
That was cool.
Switch up there. And yeah. So, it's complicated. The relationship is so important, of course. Now, let's ask you the question. What is the most difficult technical skill in ice dance?
I think a technical skill. I think in ice dance.
Okay, let's for the man and for the woman. You can separate it if you like.
I think definitely to get a level 4 on the 1 foot in the free dance and to get level 4 within the step sequences, that is certainly the rarest thing to achieve and very valuable in terms of technical element score. Not necessarily difficult to. It's not a technically difficult thing to attempt. So all of these teams will include the content, I assume, for level 4, but to have it be so pristinely clean on their edge set, to have such absolute command and mastery of their edges and their blade, to get it all the turns called clean, that is an extreme rarity, and it doesn't look that hard to a spectator, but tough stuff.
That's a great answer. I mean, that 1 foot segment, it's true. I've never seen a level 4 on that, even the seniors. I mean, there must have been one, but I haven't seen one. So that's true. And for the viewer, just even for us, you're going, oh, well, that looks really, really good, right? But to get that level 4 is so precise and so detailed, of which the naked eye really couldn't see. It's only the technical panel perhaps looking at that in replay or whatever the case would be. But yeah, you're right. Okay, well said. Let me see. I'm going to come up with some more questions
I like
here for you.
The questions are good. Talking of difficulty of getting level 4 1 foot, I remember, I think it was the 2021 World Championships. I remember studying and looking through all the PDFs, and just one skater, I think it was Victoria Sinitsina, who was the winner that year, had a level 4 1 foot of the seniors. The very that looked harmonious. That looked pretty happy. But only one skater in seniors who got level 4 1 foot. And I even remember last year in the Junior Grand Prix, I think one of the skaters, Phoebe Becker, got a level 4 either step or 1 foot, and it's such a big deal that I still remember those. That's how rare that kind of achievement is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm trying to think of questions that the viewer might have.
Yes.
Because dance is complicated, and sometimes you have to break it apart in little segments and talk about each little segment so you can understand that one little thing. Because basically, when you watch dance, you watch it holistically. Oh, that's really entertaining, but there's the sport aspect of it as well. So it gets confusing. You get attracted by, I really love that music. I really love that team, but there may be technical issues which you're not aware of, and so that's what we're trying to bring out, some of those small details as they start to clear the ice as we get moving towards the start of group number 2.
I like
16 teams in this event. There'll be 4 groups. Our next team comes from Kazakhstan. Eva Shelyeva and Ivan Soloviev, 13 and 16 years of age. Still another young team out here gaining experience.
Eva Shaleva and Ivan Soloviev from Kazakhstan. And really interesting, Ted, to see this couple who have obviously, to my trained eye, I could say, perhaps, looks like they've been trained exclusively as ice dancers. There was obviously awareness, the way that they hold their bodies, that these are ice dancers from an early start of their education. Not a complete grasp and handle yet of the elements that are required in the rhythm dance for this season, but even here you can see posturally, particularly from Eva, you can see an awareness of how to hold herself as a dancer. Curve lift, most successful element for this young team coming in at level 4. You can see that 1 foot exit. And this probably, Ted, the rocker foxtrot, where you really see the strengths of the teams in terms of the skating skills. It's a little bit loose in the frame of the foxtrot here. Good cross in front, nice foot placement on that step. And now to the twizzles. Get to see just a little bobble in the rotation for Ivan. So hopefully you'll see the check in the rotation here. And so he only did 3 rotations, but the checks in the rotation consequently drop it down in level. So both just getting a level 1 there. Also the...
Yeah, this is...
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say they've got a music requirements violation, so they haven't maybe got music that's totally appropriate for what they want for this season this year.
Yeah, it's a very young team, and you can see just inexperience and skating skills and all details have a lot of work yet to come, but a good start for experience. 34.10 for Eva and Ivan, and that'll put them currently into 5th place at this point in the competition. There is your leaderboard, your top 5 teams so far. And there's our next team from the Czech Republic. 15-year-old Andrea Cerna and 16-year-old Jakin Novak. 40.03 personal best from last season on the Junior Grand Prix. And they'll skate to Black Velvet, but Love's Got to Do With It and Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi.
Well, epic music choices. They've got the production office here dancing along with them for Andreas Cerna and Joachim Novak from the Czech Republic.
This team looks to have improved a lot from last season. Skating skills better, good depth of edge, nice soft knees as well. I'm not sure how that's going to reflect on the score. I mean, 40.03 from last season. I think you'll see a big jump this year.
And as you say, in the skating skills, fundamentally, their skating skills really good. And that's so crucial at this stage of their development, to be able to hone their basic skating skills technique. And I think a wise investment as we see the Twizzles. And to be fair to the team, respect here, because I think Joachim had some challenges in the warm-up and managed to control the Twizzles just about right to the end. Not the most comfortable element, but secure. And here now, Ted, you see the depth of the knee.
Yeah.
And what I noticed, particularly on what was the first section of the sequence of the Rocker Foxtrot, as you rightly acknowledged, Ted, good skating skills, fundamentally good. It's hard to embrace theme, style, and storytelling in a Rocker Foxtrot, and when you're so fixated on improving the skating skills. And that's where we might see the difference between the juniors and the seniors, where developmentally they have to be more fixated on the likes of that back Choctaw than the storytelling once that's bedded in.
Yeah, there's so much detail to be developed over the years that you can clearly see the difference between a junior and senior team, but this team has improved just in the basics immensely from last season, which is great progress to be made, but lots of detail to be worked on still as well. And you can see they're really happy in the kiss and cry. They feel really good about that performance. And as I mentioned, 40.03, so I'm pretty sure they're going to top that score quite nicely here.
Yeah, and this a team that hasn't had junior world selection. They'll be hoping to follow in with the success of Mrazkova Mrazek, the Czech team that won junior world championships last season. So lots of spots available for participation for Czech ice dancers, and Czech ice dance, looking healthy and competitive with teams like this coming through.
Yeah, they were so strong last season. The Czech ice dance program is doing extremely well.
And Coach Matej,
anxiously worked for.
Just going to say, I remember their Coach Matej competing for Czech Republic himself, so carrying on the line.
Perfect. 51.79, so that is a huge 11-point increase from last season, and that puts them currently into first place. And there is a look at the standings so far in the event. Top 5 teams. And our next team represents Mexico. 16-year-old Harlo Lanella Stanley and 19-year-old Nikita Sosnenko. 39.65 personal best from the World Junior Championships last season. And they're going to skate to Axel F., Hungry Eyes, and Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins.
Harlow, Lunella Stanley, and Nikita Sosnenko representing Mexico. Another team that showcased big improvements from the 39 points that they had at World Juniors last season.
You know, you could see the expression on Harlow's face at the end of just pure joy of the performance, the excitement of anticipation for international competition. And that means so much because it keeps them coming back. They go back and train hard, come back to a competition. It drives you through your career, really. It's a bit of an addiction for that sensations at the end of the program.
Really good speed in the rotation through the twizzles and use of the left outside three turn to intersperse the second and third, being creative there. You just see a tiny bit of a scratch of the blade on the turn of the rocker. And this, the second rocker foxtrot. Here, technical panel will be looking so attentively to the edges. Now this, the non-touch style B step sequence, it's a requirement for the rhythm dance, and this an opportunity to get a gauge for the skating skills of each individual in the team. Choosing to do a difficult twizzle as one of their steps, and here characterization as part. So really interesting within the team, because Harlow obviously gravitates so comfortably and effusively to expression. Nikita looks more the technician of the team. And that, as a generalization, is often the case, that male a bit more focused on the technical score, female so comfortable in expressing herself. They said that they love the rhythm dance.
They still look, yeah. Just love that energy. It doesn't matter what discipline it is. When there's such great joy in the kiss and cry, you know, even with a weak skate, not here, but 51.08 for Harlow and Nikita. That's a pretty good score. They look pretty happy with that. That'll put them currently overall in the second place. One team to go in group number 2. Nice job. Our next team comes from Switzerland, 18-year-old Gina Zender and 19-year-old Beta Leon Sieber. It's 44.79, their personal best. Back in 2021, though, so I'm sure we'll see a much bigger score here as they'll skate to race.
Well, Ted, I obviously didn't see this team in the Junior Grand Prix last year. I don't think they competed in the Junior Grand Prix last year. Gina Zender and Beda Leon Seiber from Switzerland, but so much creativity throughout that, and I am just really, really impressed by this team.
No, they have strong backs, great posture, some really nice small nuances throughout the program. Comfortable team that looks very connected and very similar skating skills. So this is a very solid team. We'll see what the scores are going to be. 44.79 is their personal best. I think you're going to see a significant improvement right now.
And interesting, they were selected to skate for Junior Worlds in 2022 but injured. Didn't get selected last year, and maybe that's been the catalyst for this level of creativity. Choosing to catch the blade with the same hand as foot, that's a rare choice of feature. Difficult, they did it well. This too, again, different features. That 1 foot feature with the leg extended in front, that's so challenging, and the dismount as well, pushing the grade of execution as well as the level. The kind of reverse spread eagle here from Gina, that was cool, and characterization. It's almost like, you know, a moment for her, a moment for him, and then following with this theme of the race. Yeah, quirky racing and running, keeping character throughout. So from a composition and presentation perspective, the judges, again here, all a clear story throughout, and musically phrased that each of these pieces was perfectly suited to the music, and joined by Coach Elisa Gafanova, who represented Turkey herself. Hopefully she'll go back to see some family members. You can see the mic'd up. She's been mic'd up. You can just about see we've managed to catch her.
Yeah, what a great job. I love just the small little details of individuality, but yet teamwork, and that brought your attention. It caught your eyes, made you sit up and take a deeper look into this program, and I think you'll see that reflected in the scores. As I mentioned, they're going to need a 51.80 to take the lead. Personal best 44.79. And they've got, I think they feel very satisfied with that performance. They don't know where that stands. They didn't compete in the Junior Grand Prix last season, so they're not quite sure where they fit in the world of junior ice dance. Well, they're about to find out in just a moment. There's the score, 55.35. They look pretty satisfied with that score for Gina and Beda Leon. And that puts them currently in the first place. Nice job. Fun program. And so far, the top team. We're going to take a short break as we take a look at the standings so far in the competition, Mark. And then we're going to go to some video playbacks. What's on the schedule?
Well, chance to see the great Ted Barton at work interviewing some of the winners from the first two. So we see.
We got to get some new videos. We have to get some new ones. Yeah.
Well, we'll get a chance to see the interview that you took with Daria Grimm and Mikhail Savitsky, the winners of the Grand Prix last week in Linz, and then the interview with Leon Asset and Artem Markelov, the ice dance champions in Bangkok. And then keeping the ice dance theme in our video playback, we get the chance to look at a day in the life of the technical controller, Ingrid Walter, and that's something that's never been an insight that we've been able to exploit. So wonderful opportunity to get a sight into the tech panel.
We hope you enjoy it. We'll be back. Stay with us. Here in Linz in the Kiss and Cry with the dance champions in week 2 in the Junior Grand Prix, Daria Grimm and Mikhail Savitsky of Germany. Now, what a story. I mean, last year you were in Calgary at the Junior World Championships. You skated the rhythm dance, but you didn't get to skate the free dance, so that was really disappointing. You had a great season last year. First time out this season, you take the title. How does it feel?
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it always feels great to win, obviously.
Yeah.
It feels great that we could deliver our programs pretty well this time, even with the lack of preparation that we had. I feel like we did a pretty good job, and it feels really good. The atmosphere here in Linz is perfect. I couldn't do it any better.
Tell us about the new program that you've got this year. What do you like about this program?
I like pretty much everything because I think it suits us. Well, the rhythm dance really suits us, and the free program is something new, so we try to do it our best. But yeah, I think the programs are quite good, and I really like them.
Now, you know, the 1980s theme, you guys weren't around, that's for sure, 1980s. Unfortunately, I was alive. You know, it's a long time ago. Did you do any research on the 80s?
Yeah, of course. We watched movies where they danced a lot. We watched many videos about the 1980s to see how they moved, what dance moves they had, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variety when it comes to 80s, so you can't really like pick one. It's because there's just so many. But we try to look at as many as possible and see what's good for us and what suits us, and then yeah.
Was the film black and white or was it color? It's pretty old. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, look. It was color. Yeah, it was color. Okay, that's good. Okay, what do you most like about your partner?
His breakdance moves.
No, I mean like about his personality, not his breakdance moves. Okay, but that might be good too. But okay, what do you like about his personality?
I don't know. I think.
You don't know?
No, because I like everything. No, I like his like.
That's
humor.
good.
I think we're pretty similar. So like, I don't know. I just like him.
Okay, well that's good enough. How about you?
I like the way she manages to bond with me, because not many people can do that.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah, that's strange. Is that why it's very difficult?
I'm not strange. You know, she just does it on another level.
I just get him.
Well, you guys are a wonderful team. You know, you really are. It's very special to watch the program. We're so happy for you to hold up that gold medal there. You know, the champions here in Linz, and where will we see you next? I think in Budapest. Is that right?
No, in
No,
Gdansk.
Oh, in Gdansk. Okay, well that's even better.
Last year.
Yes.
We'll be there this year too.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, congratulations on this one.
Thank you
Absolutely
so much.
outstanding. Daria Grimm and Mikhail Savitsky of Germany, the champions here in Linz. Here in Bangkok, Thailand, with the ice dance champions, 17-year-old Leah Nesat and 20-year-old Artem Markelov of the United States. Now, I remember watching you the first time last season on the Junior Grand Prix, and I was so shocked because I hadn't seen you before. You had something really unique and special. I really loved your performance, but you've improved that much more. And I think there's something very special about your couple. Can you explain what you think that might be?
First of all, thank you so much for the kind words. I think we're just trying to connect on ice and try to skate as one person, and that's what makes us special.
And your thoughts?
I agree.
One word answer. I agree. That's it. You're so beautiful with every edge, such deep knees, deep edges, beautiful interpretation of the music. How would you, and I saw the practice earlier this morning, it was just breathtaking. How was your performance in the competition today compared to that practice?
We're overall happy that we were able to show new programs and try to show the idea, but we obviously have a lot more potential and a lot of room for improvement, and we would like to show it in the future events.
Okay, I'm going to ask you what you like most about your partner.
I would say his work ethic.
Oh, that's a good one. That's nice. And what do you like most about your partner?
She's very kind.
Oh, you guys are good. You're really good. Well, congratulations here. Do you know what other Junior Grand Prix you'll be going to?
Yes, we're going to go to Junior Grand Prix in Japan.
In Japan. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations on your win here. The champions here in Bangkok for the ice dance.
You're not sure we're perfectly normal. Yeah, okay. I wasn't so sure yesterday either. After the event. Hi everybody, I'm Ingrid Charlotte Walter. I'm an ISU technical controller for ice dance and an ISU referee for ice dance singles and pairs. And my job here in the Junior Grand Prix in Linz is the technical controller for ice dance. So we are here sitting together, the so-called technical panel. We have the job of looking at the elements all the couples, dance couples have in their program, and in finding out what kind of features they do, because the elements themselves can be made more difficult and get a higher value by having more and difficult features. Exit. I question the split. Yes, question mark, no. So this is a lot of material one has to take in very, very quickly. And that is why we sit in the practice time and try to find and see what they are doing. We write that down in a kind of shorthand, which every person devises for him or herself. For instance, I draw a lot. You can see that later on the sheets we have, whereas others just do it in numbers, which frightens me. I couldn't do that, but there are number people, so that would be fine for them. And when it comes to the competition, we transfer the elements and the features onto the competition sheet. Of course, no level at all, because we have to see what of what could be there is really performed. And that is then what we mark down. But it speeds up everything very quickly. Usually we have 2 technical specialists. These are my 2 colleagues, Roxanne and Helen. And the one calls mainly the man and the other mainly the woman. And if we have, for instance, a spin in which both are involved, it is the specialist 1 who does the call of the level. Also to the team belong the data operator. He puts in the levels and the elements we call into the program and the software, so that the judges on their judges stand get the elements in the right order on their screen, because they have to evaluate the quality. And we have a video cutter, of course, because we have one whole program of 3 to 4 minutes, and we just need the little clips, which are also used to review by the judges and by us, whatever is shown. And so the video cutter cuts as soon as we say this element is coming up. That is, one of the technical specialists always says next element, and then the element they know, they can prepare what they have to cut. And then the specialist 1 says the element when it starts. As soon as the program is finished, again, the data gives us the number of elements, also on which we called a review. A review is something we call when we are not quite sure whether it was really seen what we saw. For instance, we have 2 people on the ice, and in a step sequence, one of them could well hide the steps of the other by just being there, obviously. So then we would need, as an example, a review to see whether we can really have a look at the other steps. If not, we go with what we have seen and go always with the skater. I think that completes the whole process. I'm afraid it was more than 3 sentences. Never mind. We can cut.
Welcome back to Istanbul for the 5-minute warm-up for Group 3 in the rhythm dance competition. We've seen some entertaining and fun performances already from the first 8 competitors, and now we're at the halfway stage of the competition.
And here we have 2 Canadian teams, an American and French team, for group number 3. Did you get yourself a break there, Mark?
Yes, we had a little break, and I think we're trying desperately hard to get intel and information as always, so creeping out to the skaters' lounge to check in with the skaters. Great to see some of the skaters just so satisfied with the performances that they've given, and all very positive so far on day 2 here.
And did you have a nice Turkish coffee?
And reserving the caffeine consumption, I think yesterday was a little bit excessive, so we'll get through one event before. Oh no.
Oops. Oh no. Yeah.
That just proves that, you know, nerves happen. You know, adrenaline makes you do things you would never normally do in training, even for the dancers who, you know, less likely to take a tumble.
I was thinking about this the other day, that when you take a look at these young, and they're very young, in some cases 13, 14 years old, in their costumes, they look more mature, and they're just 13, 14-year-old young kids. And
yeah.
So this experience is just huge, and of course there's going to be some nerves along the way, and this is the perfect entry for development in this sport at this level. And so that's what we're seeing. We're seeing very early stage development in some cases, and so those skills will be, you know, not at the level will be when they're 15, 16, when they're stronger. So it's we forget because they all look so mature in their outfits.
Yeah. And also, it can be challenging because I want to, you know, make sure that I've acknowledged the right people that I've maybe contacted online to say thanks, or thanks for reaching out, thanks for giving us intel. And I think, are you know, as you say, they look so different, you know, backstage than how they do.
Are you the same person?
Yeah, especially the ice dancers who can be, as ever, so embracing of the opportunity to glam up.
Yeah, no question. And sometimes you just don't recognize them off the ice because they have their, you know, tracksuit on or whatever, right? So it's amazing. There's a look at the Canadian team and Kelly Johnson coaching them. And this is a very difficult time for the coaching community and the skating community in Canada with the loss of a wonderful ice dancer. The family of Mitch Islam and David Islam.
Yeah, the Canadian team leaders was chatting to me, and I think just confirmation that the entire skating community across all disciplines just sends their very best wishes and best regards to the entire family, and nothing but love and warmth sent their way. The French team that competed just last week, so one of the teams in back-to-back competitive assignments, they'll be eager to push their personal best even higher, having secured personal best in the rhythm dance and the free dance at the Cup of Austria last week. Here, looking at the key points, outside closed mohawk, and interestingly I see almost an awareness of that key point increasing from event to event. It seems like you can almost sense that each team has been watching the other Grand Prix events, looking for ways in which to see what is being called on the key points and what's not being called.
Boy, I wish I had some of that hair. To be young. Well,
enough to spare.
We see David Bondar in the audience there, representing Canada in the men's event. Here, cheer on his colleagues, his teammates.
Men have the day off, chance to rest and recover. It's an interesting one with the timetabling as to which discipline gets that little rest day in between, but for Rio Nakata, I'm sure he'll be really grateful. It's his birthday today. He's lying third in the men's event and doesn't have the pressure of competing on the day of his birth.
Yeah, I wonder what the athletes prefer, whether it's back-to-back days or they like that day off. I guess it all depends on how the short program went. Would you want to have
need a day off
an
or
extra
not.
practice day, I suppose, or if it went really well, I'd like to get onto the free program right away.
Get it done.
Well, as they clear the ice, and we will begin group number 3 in the rhythm dance from week 3 on the Junior Grand Prix in Istanbul. Mark Hanratty ringside. I'm almost 9,000 kilometers away in Vancouver, but technology allows us to do amazing things. Our first team represents the United States, 14-year-old Olivia Dillon and 15-year-old Dylan Kane. Now, this is their very first Junior Grand Prix season. They were 7th in the junior dance event at the U.S. Nationals. And they'll skate to Neutron Dance, I Need You, and I'm So Excited, all by the Pointer Sisters.
Olivia Dillon and Dylan Kane from the United States of America, just 14 and 15 years old, but they've been skating together already for an amazing 8 years, so somewhat destined for success in a nation that has been so rich in ice dance champions.
You could see really good structure in their development and similar skating skills, all pretty good at this stage of their development, and they skate a little bit more as one than they do as individuals, as you would expect. They're a young team, but they've been together for 8 years, so that naturally is coming together. Wow.
Yeah. You can see great unison and synchronicity, and obviously they've had the same education in technique technique and its stylization. So a little tiny wobble there for Dylan at the end of the twizzles, but that unity of style, it'll pay off so hugely as we see that gorgeous match of the free leg extensions. This was interesting, the curve lift, choosing potentially some might argue slightly simpler features, but easily goes in as curve lift 4, and great choice of features for a young developing team both physically and I actually think that they will probably get a better grade of execution than those who've gone for more challenging features. You can see Tanith Belvin White cheering them on as well as they're joined by Olivia's father, their longtime coach Dimitri Ilin, and what an incredible job he's done to be able to, you know, tread that line of parent and coach and do it so well, and seems to be a really good rapport between all three.
Well, looking at them in the Kiss and Cry, they just make me smile because they have this, you know, positivity and this youth and this great future ahead of them, and a unity, real teamwork.
Looks like she leads the charge.
Rhythm dance scores. Yeah, I think so. 51.69, good score for Olivia and Dylan, and that will put them currently into third place overall. First team out in group number 3. Our next team represents Canada. Dana Sabatini Special and Nicholas Bulow, 17 and 16 years old. Personal best is 50.40, earning that last season on the Junior Grand Prix. And they'll skate to Jack and Diane in Pride and Joy.
Well, a very decisive finger point finish from Dana Sabatini Special and Nicolas Bulot from Canada. And huge respect and admiration for this team. They have gone through a lot recently, and they've come out here and conducted themselves incredibly professionally for such youngsters.
Well, this team is coached by Mitch Islam and David Islam and Kelly Johnson and Alexander Paul, who unfortunately has passed away in a car accident, and a great loss to the skating community in Canada. Our hearts go out to the Paul family and the Islam family as well. Our thoughts are with you. And we can see the work that carries on here in this young team with some extremely nice skills.
Yeah, and as we look at the Rocker Foxtrot, we've heard nothing but incredible praise for their coaching staff and the ethos and the positivity and compassion as humans that all of their coaches have. And, you know, that I'm sure has made things so much easier for this team to come to terms with competing and representing their nation at this difficult time. And so, you know, just huge admiration for all involved. There you see the Group C Twizzle choosing a more difficult position within it as we look now at the rotational lift. And there at the difficult exit. There
they are,
yeah.
Kiss and cry with big smiles and pride to represent their country.
And although Nicholas is obviously incredibly tall in stature and height, they're still a young team. He's just 16 years old. So given the age criteria for junior men, he has a long time potentially as juniors, but hopefully they will make that transition up to seniors together and follow in a long line of amazing Canadian ice dancers.
There's so many dance teams in Canada. You've got to really judge where you're going to spend your time in development, whether it's a juniors or seniors. When you have such a log jam in seniors, so we'll see what course they take over the next few years. A 50.40, their personal best. We'll see how close they come to that here. A good skate. And lots more to learn. Lots of opportunity for experience to be gained by this young team. 50.18, close to that score. That'll put them currently into 6th place overall, but pretty tight competition. As we take a look at the leaderboard, really just over
So
a point
close.
out of 3rd place, so anything can happen and will in the free dance. Our next team comes from France. Amber Perrier Giacini, Samuel Blanc Clapperman, 16 years old. Both Amber and Samuel. 55.04 personal best, earning that last week in Linz. They'll skate to I Need You. And I'm so excited by the Pointer Sisters.
Ombre Perrier, Giannassini and Samuel Blanc-Klapperman. And Ted, I think, showing real professionalism from Samuel, because he must be so bitterly disappointed with the mistake on the twizzles, and yet he absolutely sold, particularly as they got towards the end of the program, really not sitting back in the memory of the fall and choosing to utilize any opportunity to push those components.
Did you write, how do you read my notes from 9,000 kilometers away? That's exactly what I was going to say. This team started out really shaky, and yeah, exactly, really shaky a little bit. Not only the fall, but they were just a little bit tight. But the rest, as the program went on, wow, their energy got higher and skating skills got better. Great work.
Fortunate that the fall came on the third twizzle, so they both still, wow, still managed to get
hang on.
Yeah. And I suppose, you know, there's some benefits of competing in back-to-back assignments, because you can ride the wave of the excitement, and they were great last week. Really good, 5th place in the ice dance competition in Linz. And so impressed by their skating skills, but then equally you could argue that that mistake is born from the exhaustion that, you know, they may be suffering from all the adrenaline and excitement. Great ice coverage through the rotational lift.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, it's just a guess at that point. I agree with you. I think back-to-back competitions when you're juniors is the right thing to do. I really do, rather than sort of traveling around. You'll learn from one week to the next. If you separate those weeks too far, sometimes you forget about what you needed to learn out of that first competition. So, you know, I like that strategy. I think it's good. And we saw how they responded after that fall. They just got better and stronger, wanted to show what they're able to do. And that in itself is a gain, because they will have gained experience in how to recover in a program.
And now I think, you know, it's safe for us to say probably the best skating skills that we've seen of all the teams so far, but the mistakes may just prevent them from being on top spot. So again, as we so often say, what an opportunity now. They've showcased the fact that they're great skaters last week, delivering clean skates, brilliant skating skills. This week, they're going to have a challenge in the free dance to come back from the inevitably disappointing result that they would have anticipated, having seen all the practices of others. But that's, you know, a real gift of an opportunity. Better now than, you know, potentially a World Championships vying for a medal.
Yeah. Opportunity to learn. So 55.04 is their personal best. They're not going to reach that, but the score is still not going to be too bad considering that fall. And you can see that those scores, they saved some scores by just the energy and the unity and the better skating throughout that program, despite that big fall. But we'll take a look at the scores and see how they compare. Disappointment for sure. There's no question of that. And they don't see the value in the learning. Who would? You're judging the day. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I was just going to say, hard also then for the Ombre, because she's got to try and support him. She skated okay, and now, you know, all these dynamic shifts that they've got to work through and learn through.
Yeah, pretty solemn in the kiss and cry at the moment. Let's take a look at the scores. 51.82. Still not a bad score. That'll put them currently in the second place. They know the opportunity was, you know, missed for taking the lead, but this is a good team, and they are currently in second place, even with that fall. Our final team in group number 3 comes from Canada. 18-year-old Emma Goodstadt, 20-year-old Kristen Bennett, coached by Carol Lane and Joris Razguliev. This is their first Junior Grand Prix event. They were 6th at the Lake Placid Ice Dance International this summer. And they'll skate to Love Shack and Black Velvet.
Fun program, great music for Emma Gutstadt and Christian Bennett representing Canada. And I shared the bus journey back from the rink with these guys a couple of days ago, Ted, and just such mature young adults, just so mature. And you have to assume that, you know, being international competitors, being elite athletes, it's really advancing them, you know, as humans compared to, you know, normal 18 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, made a couple of mistakes in the twizzles, both partners, so they'll be a little bit disappointed with that, but good energy throughout the rest of the program.
Here, just a chance to look at that non-touch style B here, inside counter, and the edges have to be so precise, so accurate, so constant throughout. The double twizzle, that probably pretty comfortably callable here. They went for a back inside rocker coming up, which is a harder edge, I think, to go for. So pushing themselves in the selection of turns, and there, forward outside mohawk. Again, another such a simple looking step, but yet it's so difficult to be given the call by the technical panel. As we look now at the rocker foxtrot. There, the third and fourth key point. Just one of the 8 key points being assigned to Emma and Christian over the 2 rocker foxtrots, and there you get a chance to see that little stumble and the knock-on effect. Sometimes that happens with mistake made by one member of the team. It's recognized by the other member of the team and it knocks them off theirs. But
yeah,
as I say, all learning opportunities.
Yeah, just out of the side of your eye, you may notice something, and then your mind shifts a little bit to what just happened, and then you make the mistake as well. It's just an effect, and you have to keep focus on your skill only. That's all you can control, and that's a skill in itself to learn. Pair skaters have to do the same thing. 45.56 for Emma and Christian, and that will put them currently into 10th place. We now move on to group number 4, final group in the rhythm dance. We take a look at the start order for this group.
As I said, Ted, in the opening, it's not got the same kind of clear front runners maybe we had when we saw Daria Grimm and Mikhail Savitsky, who competed last week, and our time and our partner in the first Grand Prix assignment. So it's exciting in that respect as to who's going to, you know, clinch those coveted 15 points for the win. And we've got some more experienced teams in this group and some new formations of more experienced competitors in the past. So exciting to see what we'll get from the likes of the Thais there.
Right now, the team in first place is from Switzerland. We haven't seen that. We don't know whether that'll hold up after this next group, but wow, that's something different.
Yeah, we'll have to get my research done as to when or if a Swiss dance team has medaled at Junior Grand Prix. That'll be a research point later, but how exciting that would be. And it kind of continues on the theme that we've had this year of other skating nations getting success that don't ordinarily do so.
No, I think that's great. It's just good for the sport, and we see some good development. It's also helped to kickstart the next generation in those federations that have traditionally participated but not necessarily had success on the Junior Grand Prix, and when they start to see their flag being raised, that's pretty inspirational. And then those young skaters back at home go, well, if they can do it, maybe we can. And all of a sudden, success begins to breed success.
Absolutely. Thinking of the Swiss skaters, Swiss single skaters had such great success. Kimi Rapon flying the flag well, and Naoki Rossi getting that medal at Junior World. So maybe that has given a bit of a nudge and motivation to Gina and Beta Leon, who lead the field at this stage. And as you say, success breeds success. More.
That's the benefit to this Junior Grand Prix that, and I would say, expanded over the past 10 years. The Junior Grand Prix continue to grow, obviously the visibility you see on the stream, but also in the number of nations joining the ISU. And the quickness in which the top juniors transfer, generally, at least in singles, into success at the senior level. Yeah. That is quite remarkable. It doesn't happen as fast in pair skating for sure. Same thing in ice dance, takes a little longer. But in single skating, if you have the top juniors, they transfer quite nicely into the seniors within a couple of years.
Great to see there changes of hold. Some of the teams playing with the opportunity from the Ice Dance Technical Committee to make variations within the hold for those rocker foxtrots. It's also interesting to see how they interpret the rules.
Why is that? Or okay, so let me ask about the degree of difficulty. Not that there's a difficulty score attached to that, but for a team, what would be the difference in the difficulty of the different holds?
Well, the more open that the hold is, the further apart that the skaters are within the hold, the simpler it is. When you have more distance between you and your partner, you can allow yourself to push that a little bit more. You can focus more on your own skating, not be so worried about the proximity in relationship to the other. That's why of the commonly used dance holds is Killian hold. I wish I could demonstrate for you, but Killian hold, waltz hold, foxtrot hold. The foxtrot hold, which the rocker foxtrot has done, is the most difficult hold to skate in. It's just the most uncomfortable. Generally, you're a bit kind of tangled up and tangled. And most skaters, when they first start to do ice dance, you say, "Oh, foxtrot hold, I don't like that." But the judges will reward, in terms of the transitions and the composition, that proximity in hold. It makes it more difficult, and the judges will reward it when it comes to them giving out those composition components. In terms of the rocker foxtrot, there's a little bit more free reign. Couples are allowed to open that up a little bit. They just can't go to hand in hand fully extended. So that's a bit of a choreographic no-no, or a bit of a black mark choreographically if you really open up the hold and make it simple. But for some teams in the Junior Grand Prix, maybe that's a tactical ploy. We'll make the holds easier to facilitate better skating skills, and then over time we'll tighten it up.
Yeah, it must be a little sort of claustrophobic when you're in that foxtrot hold and you're really close, and then you say, "I don't want to push too hard here. I might touch my partner's skate or something." So, yeah, really restricting. And
certainly the foxtrot hold is more comfortable. The conventional foxtrot hold is more comfortable for the man than for the female. So,
yeah, exactly. And thus the change of roles, which I think is a great decision. You start to really see the strengths and weaknesses, but I think you're right. As the season goes on, that reverse hold is going to get better.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I think that's so healthy. It's just discussion point, novelty. It's great for the skaters, the coaches, everybody to be challenged.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there is our next team to take to the ice for their rhythm dance. They represent the United States, 16-year-old Yali Peterson and 21-year-old Jeffrey Chen. Coached by Charlie White, Greg Zerline, and Kenneth White. And they will skate the rhythm dance here in Istanbul. A Kind of Magic by Queen and Under Pressure.
Yali Pedersen and Jeffrey Chen from the United States of America. And to me, Ted, that was a really brilliant example of leading in terms of lead follow. And Jeffrey's so very experienced. He's been the US Junior Champion with a previous partner. And I think this is a great team in the making. She, you know, glorious skater, performs well, and he was the frame to that and leading and looking after her in this experience in the Junior Grand Prix. It seemed that way to me anyway.
Yeah, really a well-matched team. They skate closely together. They have deep edges, good individual skaters, but they seem united. I don't mean a young team as in age-wise, but a relatively new team. Yes. So they look really synchronized but that's their experience from previous partnerships, of course, as we take a look at the Twizzles.
Well, here, the look from Jeffrey's still performing, but so mindful of his partner. You can see him just connecting throughout. Even here, still very, very mindful. And that such a good advert for his partnering skills, really. And here, as we see that Choctaw there, Yali, she's got, you know, gorgeous extension. She, in her own right, a quality skater. She competed as a solo dancer herself too. So this, I'm sure, the most comfortable element for her, an opportunity to showcase her own skating skills as well, and bright future inevitably for them, especially with the illustrious coaching staff that they have.
Yeah, I was really impressed with this team, knowing that, you know, they're not new to dance, this is for sure, but they're relatively new to each other, and they're in sync. We may see a pretty good score here, maybe new leaders. No major mistakes, of course. Skated nice and tight and close. And the key points, they got 50% of the key points. So 4 yeses and 4 nos. We'll take a look at the rhythm dance scores. And there it is, 63.25. And look at Jeffrey went, whoa, that's a big number. And that moves Yali and Jeffrey into first place. Wow, great job. Big lead, 8 points. And Towns just takes it calmly. Yes, okay, that's fine. Good job. That was nice. Our next team comes from Ukraine, 17-year-old Maria Pinchuk and 20-year-old Mikita Pogorilov. And they'll skate to Unchain My Heart, and You Give Me Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi.
Ukraine's Maria Pinchik and Mikita Pogorelov. And really, I find it so interesting, Ted, because this team showcased such good quality skating skills towards the start. I thought it fatigued a little bit and it fell apart a little towards the end. So as the season progresses, I'm sure the score will, as all teams will, go up in line with that. But the initial stroking into the Rock and Foxtrot was so well matched. The best match that I've seen of the event.
You can see the basics of this dance team is very, very strong. And as you mentioned, it's early in the season, so this is only going to get better and more consistent throughout the whole program. We'll see where this score takes them, but it's going to be up there, no question. Look at the depth of edge and the extensions.
That's why I wanted to slow that down, the match between them. And they've just been taught well. They have a real awareness of their bodies when it comes to their stroking, the foot placement there and the step forwards. That's real quality ice dance education. Interesting to see the comparison back to back with the Americans that we've just seen. I think from a composition perspective, the Americans stronger and perhaps a little bit more trained, but can't be ignorant to the fact that Maria and Mikita have had so many challenges, and they did say to me that they want to thank everyone who supports them during this very difficult time for them to represent their country. And seeing them here representing Ukraine and doing so brilliantly is real testament to them and the team. And again, Galina Chirilova doing a remarkable job, whether back home in their home nation or now in their training base in Vienna in Austria.
Galina has been so consistent over so many years in developing good work with so many teams. It's remarkable to have a consistent coach for so much time, bring different generations up in this discipline, and successful.
Yes.
They anxiously await their scores. 63.17 is their personal best. They're going to need a 63.26 to take the lead. They don't have that score. They have a 60.63, still a good score. And that'll put them in second place. Just 3 points off the lead. And there is a look at your leaderboard, your top 5 teams so far. The next team comes from Germany, 16-year-old Alexia Kruk, 18-year-old Jan Eisenhaber, 50.79, the personal best, earning that last season, 42.45, the personal best this season. Skating the Man in the Mirror, Dirty Diana, and Wanna Be Certain by Michael Jackson.
Well, what a transformation from a couple of weeks ago for Alexia Krug and Jan Eisenhower from Germany. Much stronger, much more comfortable looking, and early season nerves now abated, and they can deliver more a reflection of their training.
I had to look down to look at the result from Bangkok, and they were 42.45, ninth in that competition. I'm going, well, this team looked, and I was there, so I saw the depth of the field. I thought, wow, that was kind of low for that. Then I looked at this team and going, is this the same team?
Exactly.
This looks a lot stronger, no question.
And their coach Stefano was explaining that it was disappointing for them all, and so he and Coach Robin Tweedale had to work hard to motivate the team not to be despondent, and it looks like they've done a brilliant job, because even here, very opening scenes, you can see there's a commitment and a confidence and an attack that there wasn't at the start of the season.
It's so difficult when a team or a skater loses confidence, how you have to rebuild that, because you can't move forward by looking back. And they've done a great job in having this team focus on what's coming.
Yeah, and you can see within the team different temperaments. Alexia really expressive in her commitment to the performance, and just getting those two humans to travel around the world, take that experience to Bangkok, disappointing, and for the coaches then, each skater will react differently to that, I'm sure. Just an extra rotation there for Jan, that a little mistake within the twizzle. So still, and I thought he did a brilliant job here, Ted. I thought that lift had the potential to go AWOL, but did a good job of salvaging it.
Well, their season's best was 42.45 in Bangkok. They'll beat that here. Their personal best is 50.79. It'll be tight to beat that, but improvement, that's what they're looking for, moving on from Bangkok, moving forward into the season.
Stefano.
Very focused. She's,
And again, even here,
it's a
confirmation,
big
different
part
people.
A big part of the coach's job is to read the body language of the athletes and know how to respond. And sometimes no words is the right response, and sometimes
all the words.
Say something that's funny, or who knows. And now they're united. Okay, they're focusing, but they want to see the score. And it's a season's best at 48.31. So that's an improvement, not their personal best. And that'll put this team currently in 11th place, still not happy to where they think they could be with the skills that they have. Better times to come, for sure, and a free dance as well. Our next team comes from Italy. Giulia Isabella Paolino and Andrea Tuba. Giulia is 19, Andrea is 20. Personal best 51.43, earning that in week 1 in Bangkok. And they'll skate to The Power of Love by Chris Hayes.
Well, straight after the German team of Krug and Eisenhaber, who had a disappointing first event, Julia, Isabella, Paulina, and Andrea Tuba had such disappointment in Bangkok, and I think they felt, and I thought, that they potentially were lined up for a third place and a bronze medal there, but she had that fall in the rhythm dance, and I think the reaction from Andrea to the clean skate here has been brewing for 2 weeks for this team.
Yeah, and it was right after the last note. He didn't wait. He celebrated. Was like, yes. Oh,
That's
here we
great.
go. Slides off the ice. Yeah, that's fun. That's great when you feel that it's all come together. You redeemed yourself, and now you're showing what you're capable of.
And showing that, you know, real emotion. The dancers have to, you know, curtail their emotions so much, try to express perfectly to the music, and it's just a release of that at the end. This is the twizzles that were problematic for them both, I think, and particularly for Julia in Bangkok 2 weeks ago, and I'm sure she's been reliving that for the past fortnight, worrying about it, so she's done a brilliant job of skating cleanly through them here. Now the Choctaw as part of the diagonal step sequence, Julia getting a level 2, just a level 1 for Andrea. It's the double twizzle, the most easily callable step within the step sequence. We're about to see now the left inside bracket. That's such a difficult turn to be called.
And as you mentioned, Mark, it's so difficult for the 1 foot and the step sequence to get those high levels, which we see. Ooh, Bears. Rhythm dance scores. Now their seasons and personal best with 51.43. This is 56.67. And that's the season's best. And they look pretty happy with that. Exhausted from all the
Relief.
celebration, I think. And that'll put them currently in 3rd place.
He's a character. He's fun.
Yeah, no kidding. He's still acting. As we take a look, we have an American team, Ukrainian, Italian, top 3 teams. As we'll take a look at the final results in the rhythm dance. And that sets up for always an exciting free dance. As we wait to take a look at the final standings.
Hey.
There it is. You can see the top 3, 63 points, 60 and 56, your top 3 teams. Let's see if there's going to be any movement after the free dance as we take a look at the rest of the field.
Gosh.
Well, Mark, that's been a great event, and that concludes our coverage of the rhythm dance. Up next will be the pairs free program, the first medal event in week number 3 in Istanbul, and that will start local time at 14:20. The first warm-up group at 14:20 local time in Istanbul. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage of the rhythm dance. For Mark Henready, I'm Ted Barton. Make sure you join us for the pairs free program coming right up after this.